Okay, so continuing the walk cycle, I've got his entire head in the paint layer. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that layer for the moment. And I still need to put in keyframes, in betweens, if you will. Might as well get that done. So, hitting the up. Oh, there's no keyframe there. Oh, I see. I'm looking at the keyframes for the empty, and of course when I hit the up and down arrow, it's jumping to the keyframes for any keyframes, and so that includes the ones for the Grease Pencil. So if I jump to Grease Pencil, you can see there's more keyframes. Should Blender only jump to the next keyframe for the channels you're viewing? Maybe. Something to think about. Okay, so I'm in object mode. And just making adjustments. We're going for location and rotation. And I think I should turn my onion skins off actually here. They're a little distracting. Okay, back to object mode. Cafe Bustelo. I love it. So this is, I suppose, fairly serene work. There really is no shortcut. You just have to go through and put those keys in. So the irony of this is that I set up the microphone, and now today I'm hardly talking. How ironic is that? I accidentally put in a scaling key, by the way. I put in location, rotation, scale instead of location, rotation, so should I be annoyed by that? One wonders. I think I'll consider it. After weighing it out, I'll decide later if I should be annoyed by that. Okay? Anyway. Now, I'm not unaware of the mild disparity between the angle of his face and the fact that the rotoscoped footage actually, you can see, you know, there's a shoulder here and a shoulder here. You can see we're really looking kind of up and at the back of Donio's head. I think for a wide shot like we're doing here, I really don't think that's gonna matter. It's difficult. You know, how bad of a stickler for so-called quality are you going to be? Versus a very pragmatic view that says, you know what, if it's good enough, it's good enough. I mean, honestly, when you look at a lot of anime, there's a lot of shots and you know, detail in the rendering of the drawings that is, shall we say, lacking. Does that make it okay? No, not necessarily, but of course anime production is always driven to a large extent by the economic demands of having to crank it out fast. You know, when you're in any kind of production, you do have to bear in mind the economic constraints. We're never being paid as much as we would like to be, I suppose, for whatever we're doing, and so the further you are into your career, I suppose, the more jaded you become, and the less willing you are to be obsessive about getting everything quote unquote perfect when nobody's really paying you to do so. So that may sound like a cynical attitude. You know, it's just reality, and it has a lot to do with how busy you are. If you have a lot of gigs going on, then you're going to be less likely to jump through a lot of extra hoops for the client or the gig that is, you know, lowballing you or whatever. But we've all done it. We've all had lowball clients, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, especially when you're starting out. I would imagine there's probably a lot of people that are going to watch this video that are younger than me, you know. Okay, so it looks like we've got it. Now I'm going to just, all the keys are selected already, so I'm just going to hit the T key and change these to constant interpolation so that there's no smooth interpolation at 24 frames per second. It just jumps from key to key. Yeah, and there you go. Now ultimately what I'm probably going to do is parent the entire, I'll probably put the entire body in a single layer, okay? And then I'll parent the body to an empty, and then I'll parent this empty that's controlling the head, parent that to the body's empty, so that what we'll be able to do is do this whole walk cycle and then adjust some keyframes on the entire rig so that it moves back as he's moving forward, and it'll appear that he's walking forward even though relative to the screen he's actually staying in one place. And that way what we can do is put a panning background behind him. So looks pretty good. Alt A, as I like to say. Save early, save often. Okay, now let's deal with the body. Let's go back to frame 0. Let's go back to the beginning. Now, honestly, that first key is probably going to be cut out of the sequence because it's like his weight was on his left leg and he really wasn't moving forward yet, whereas here he's starting to move forward. Let's test that. Let's go ahead and, well, actually I guess I had that down here. You can see I had it starting at frame 9. Okay, so if we actually play it back, we're only getting the important part. So I guess I kind of already did what I'm talking about doing in terms of planning. Yeah. Yeah, see, the timing works out good. Works out well. Let's use proper English here, folks. See, I need more coffee. That's the problem. Until I get 16 ounces of Cafe Bustelo into this glorious body, I'm just not quite where I need to be. So, anyway, so by all rights, I probably should start dealing with the body on frame 8. Okay. And so I shall. That is exactly what I will do. Alright. Do we need more detail in the drawing? Let's take the sketch layer. Actually, let's not make the sketch layer lighter. Let's just make the red color that we used for the sketch layer lighter. That way, I can take my blue pencil leave it on the sketch layer. Just why are we going to use up a bunch of extra grease pencil layers for no good reason? And now what I'm doing is I'm just thinking about this, thinking about my strategy. I want my sketch pencil because my goal now is going to be to just get it blocked in. One good thing you can do in a lot of different areas, cutting movie trailers, for example, which I've done quite a bit of, planning a website, creating a piece of music, composition, animation. It's all the same way. One of the good rules you want to follow is work from the known to the unknown. Block in what you know for sure is going to be what it's going to be or where it's going to be. And then from there, that will begin to illuminate the things that are not certain. What's unclear about this particular rendering is I know this guy's going to be wearing an overcoat. I don't know if the overcoat's going to be, I'm not really sure how long it is. And, the challenge for me is I have to visualize in my mind, really see what I want to draw before I draw it. All right? But one thing I do know for sure is I know about his hand. I'm going to turn the opacity of the blue lines up, by the way. Okay, I know that's going to be there. Given that, I pretty much know that the arc of the shoulder is going to be something like this. I should say the positioning of the shoulder, the bend of the arm. Where's his elbow going to be? Blah blah blah. All right. And what I want to do is kind of draw through the character. Honestly, I'm thinking his collar is going to be up. Can see it both ways. I could see his collar being up like this. Okay, which is, not too bad. It definitely kind of sort of works. Let's look at what that would look like. Let's make our eraser a little bigger. Let's look at what that would look like if the collar was down. Okay, so it's still going to wrap around like this, but it's going to be more like that. I don't know, I like it up. Which is pretty much more how I originally envisioned it anyway. So, it's going to have a button there. Shirt. Okay, so this is a good example actually of working from the known to the unknown. I know that the collar is going to have an arc, something like that. But of course it's got this divot in it. So where's that going to be? Well, it's going to be about there. Okay, cool. Alright, and this is again a long, what you might call like a detective's overcoat kind of thing. Alright, too much arc there. So that might be okay. Alright. I'm not going to get very creative with his leggings, although one question I should ask myself is when I thought about this before, I was thinking maybe do a Matrix style boots on the guy. Let's go ahead and give that a try. Well, no harm, no foul. I would say let's leave that that way. I can always change it later if I want to. Save early, save often. Okay. I think I need to turn, let's go back to edit strokes and turn our unused skins back on. Okay. So now, I'm going to let the coat drag behind him a little bit. And now, I'm thinking less as a, what would the word be? A renderer, an artist. You know, a minute ago I was thinking in terms of what I'm going to draw. Now I'm not thinking about what I'm going to draw. I'm thinking about what I'm going to animate. I'm thinking about how things are moving. And with this, honestly, what I'm thinking, again, work from the known to the unknown, I'm thinking that the coat is going to tag behind him, and then it's going to start to catch up. Okay. And I really think I want to map that out, because that's going to hang on his leg, obviously like that. And now is where it's going to start to get left behind again as he leans forward, right? And I will tell you in advance here, people, that I don't know how this is going to look. I'm going completely with my instinct as far as how the motion of the coat should feel in relation to how his body's moving. So this could very well turn out to be a bit of a fail, you know, and that's okay. If it fails, it fails. I'm going to give it a try. Just now it's kind of hanging there with him, but he's picking up steam a little bit, and he leans forward, so that means the coat gets left behind a little bit. I like that. I think I like that. I won't know until, you know, and I'm almost thinking for this particular, I don't quite like that, but, you know, I'm thinking the coat's going to be now starting to catch up again. So I think that it's kind of the principle of sticks and balls. If you're going to animate, a lot of times when you're working out the motion, it's really helpful to just draw sticks and balls. Just figure out, if you know, in stick figure mode, how things are going to move, because you can always connect them up. You know, if I just draw the position of a wrist, you know, from here to here, I can figure out how the forearm's going to relate to that later. It's not important that I draw the whole thing as a single unit. All I need to know is where the points are moving to in space. It's all about the timing. So let's see, I may have missed badly. And I didn't. It's actually pretty good. I mean, look at that. It feels like the coat's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. As he leans forward, it sort of gets left behind. That's great. Okay, nice. All right, so let's again jump to frame 8. So that makes me happy. I know, people, I act like a complete dork, but, you know, it's nice to be able to be a dork and be happy in your own skin. A lot of my life I wasn't, but I am now, and that's okay. Okay, back to work. Boom. Okay, the boot. So I'm going to give the boot a little bit of a what do I want to say? I'm thinking about the texture of the sole of the boot. You know, it's got some texture to it so that you could climb a mountain in this thing if you really wanted to, right? Okay, so now I need to look at the hand and see again, just mapping out the position We don't want to make it, it's gotta have principally the same exact shape and size. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could cut and paste those grease pencil strokes and just move them. But this is a good opportunity to just practice my drawing skills, and do it what is ostensibly the hard way, but in point of fact is also the fun way. Okay, that's a problem. I need to turn this off. Sorry. Wait. Maybe I need to turn off the onion skins. Yeah, that does not work. Because this boot would not move between those frames. His weight is anchored on that boot. So the idea that it would move is kind of ludicrous. So therefore, that foot has to be anchored right there. Okay, which means this has to come up. Boom, boom, right? Okay. I can live with that. Okay, what's this doing? Truthfully, whoops, that was too high. It's kind of hidden in that frame. Okay, that's going to land there. I'm kind of using this line right here as my anchor point, to lock down the animation. Even though the rough animation's a little bit, takes probably some liberties with that. Okay, that feels good. Okay, there's this top of the boot. So again, I'm just marking my places here. Top of the boot. See, there, that's unnatural. Even though it kind of sort of matches the rotoscope, it's unnatural. His leg would not move back in space. There's no way that would happen. So this is where the graph markings, in Blender are kind of useful, actually. Okay. So you can see I'm giving the boot kind of a square toe. And this, again, is one of the things that's quite helpful, is when you can reduce your design and your sketch and your plan to straight lines. Because straight lines, it's easy to evaluate where things are relative to each other if you look at the points on a straight line, right? So this little point right here that marks the top of the toe of the boot, it's really easy to get that right from frame to frame. I can see it's I've got a little line here that's about that long, and it moved from there to there, and that's a pretty easy thing to match. So I tend to, once I get in the groove and know what my designs are, I tend to think a lot in terms of points in space. There's his knee, there's his knee. So what the knee did was it went from here to here, to here, to here. Okay, and then this is the frame again where I said we had the problem. Okay, back of the knee, or back of the leg, maybe you would say. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay. And it's a lot like painting. If I've actually got a book on the shelf right over there I got from the library called Portraits from Life by John Howard Sandon, one of the most accomplished portrait painters of our time. And he uses an alla prima technique, which means that it's very fast, it's very aggressive. He looks at his subject, he mixes, he looks at what he sees in both terms of color and space. Sorry to block the screen there, folks. Mixes the color that's the tone that he wants, and he really makes a decision, and then he paints a shape on the canvas. And a lot of times those shapes don't relate to the whole. But once you combine all those shapes together on the canvas, all of a sudden the face of the person you're painting the portrait just emerges, because it's just a collection of shapes. And it's the same thing here. This is truly just a collection of points and straight lines. But if you put them in the right place at the right time, then when you play it back, it's like magic, And that's a cool thing. And that's why we do it, because it's cool. Okay, so this is the one that I said had a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say, let's say we don't move it much, all right? So this is the anchor point. So there's the top of the leg. So that fixes it. That just fixes it. See, and it does. You can tell just by looking at it real quick. Looking at the points, you can tell it was absolutely fixed. Okay. So now, it's probably worth mentioning that it's really not critical that we put in so much detail that this could be, what am I trying to say? The inking process will probably not demand that this be fully drawn with the blue pencil for every frame. And probably a lot of these points and lines that I'm talking about, if those are there, then once I go to ink, I will know what to do. And I don't have to, this doesn't have to be completely all drawn out. All right, so anyway, just a little parenthetical point. Okay, so now what's interesting about this whole points in space kind of thing is, I know that this is a button here. This is not a button. This is where the collar of the coat meets the front of the coat. So I just want to make a note of that spot, and I want to follow that spot through. And then I think I want to follow. Let me see, I'm going to go ahead and make sure my onion skins are back on. Okay. This is cool work, man. I mean, you get in the zone. Okay, so now this, the button, I just feel like it moved too much from frame to frame. Okay. So I'm going to just let the button, so the button's got this path that's kind of a U shape. And that implies actually that his entire body has this shape. It's going down and then up, right? So I don't want to overly fixate on it, but the body moves as a unit, so the coat is made of cloth. So is it possible that that button was going to move in space and have a little bit of an arc that's separate from the body? Of course, yes, it will, but not too much. A little bit's okay, a little bit of variance. But if it's too much, it's going to look like it came to life and started flying around on its own, right? Now I'm going to rethink what I said a minute ago. I'm actually thinking these onion skins are. When you're drawing keys that are far apart, onion skins are great. Once you're kind of dealing with in-betweens, which we're sort of doing the original sketch and the in-betweens at the same time because it was already guided by a rotoscope. We already knew what we were going to do, so in that scenario, the onion skins kind of make a mess of things because there's just too many lines on the screen. It gets messy. All right, so back to drawing here. And again, just kind of sticking with that which we know. We know this is going to go from here to about here. This line's going to go from here to about here. And this line's going to go from here to about here. Okay? And that's fine. Okay, get this line. All right, and that line really doesn't want to move. Okay, that's wrong. We're right here. And until that foot fully makes that step, that really should not be moving. That should be very anchored. All right. So when I sketched it, I was a little bit remiss. Okay, so now, points. What's the point? Well, the heel. Okay, we've established that in this square right here, we get the heel. Okay, so we might as well just lock it in, baby, because it ain't going anywhere. Now, it is true that the heel will lift off the ground, And so what I'm drawing here is really just a spatial guideline, because eventually I think I'm going to have to raise it up. There's one thing here between frames 26 and 30 though that's bugging me. I should say 27 and 29. What's weird is it seems like I was just going to say he covered a lot of ground between those two frames, and it's almost like these two keyframes look about the same. Honestly, I almost feel like one of them should be taken out, and it almost feels like there's a missing keyframe. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, we don't want to be looking at the dope sheet here. We want to be looking at the grease pencil. Okay, yeah, we do. We've got kind of a stray keyframe. I'm going to delete that. I don't want that keyframe in there. It's just like one too many. Now, potentially, maybe you'd want to put it in between in here, but I mean, come on, we're going from frame 26 to 29. That's only 3 frames. And it's true, his leg moved a long ways. So let's just live with it and assume that once it's in motion, it'll probably look great. All right? So there's that. Back to work here, folks. Okay. And okay, so now I'm actually getting myself in trouble because this is his right foot. I guess that is correct. I'm sorry. I'm a little dyslexic, as I've mentioned other times. And I get left and right and stuff mixed up. My daughter's even way, way, way worse than I am. She's 26 years old, and she has to. She'd probably kill me for telling this, but she has to like use her hands like as a guide, or so. I don't know how she does it, but she has to use her hands to know right from left. It's just good. Isn't that terrible? Oh my gosh. It's a terrible thing. We shouldn't be laughing. We shouldn't laugh at dyslexia. But I can laugh because I deal with it. Mine is not very severe. I know my left from my right, but basically it makes me somewhat challenged with directions, and I don't have I know people who have an inherent sense of which way they're going, and for the most part I don't. Once I've made a couple turns, I'm like, okay, which am I going north, south, east, west? Could be anything. Let's hope for the best. Okay. Okay. Back to drawing here. I might have to end this video soon because I'm wasting so much time. Yep, and he's really anchored there. So is that the front of the boot? It is. So that, and that's going to be anchored about there. So there's a key point. Yep, there's a line. Okay, and this should carry right through. There's our knee. His knee's gonna move back a little bit because it's doing essentially this. So as this moves one way, this moves the other way. So it's just pivoting. So a little bit of a change there is okay. Okay. So now where's the heel thingy dingy? Let's put in the heel thingy dingy. Let's mark that. Okay. All right, so let's go back. How are we doing on time here? we've gone over a half hour. Maybe I should wrap this up and make this a three-parter. Because, you know, we're going to have to do ink and paint too. You know, there's a lot to do. So let's just say what we have so far looks pretty good. We're going from rotoscope to finished art. Hopefully we don't have any wackiness in our audio today. And let's wrap it up for today, and we'll probably continue hopefully tomorrow. So have a good one, folks.